Hey everybody, Tom here. It's been a while. It's a pretty evening here on the North Fork. What is it, about 8 o'clock in the evening now? June 20, 2024, West Virginia Day. And I guess either the last day of spring or the first day of summer, I'm not real sure. Got a new project here. Yesterday I was looking at a post from a fellow from down in Louisiana that I'm acquainted with, and he posted a picture of this beautiful new real type lawnmower. It's got like a 10 horsepower engine sitting up on top of it, it looked like, but it was huge. But he stimulated me to drag this poor old thing out from underneath the back porch. This thing was an antique when I was a child, and I'm 71 years old now. I remember shoving this thing around when I was, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. But it stayed under the back porch. It laid under there through the '85 flood and was buried in mud. I guess we hosed it off with a water hose. I don't know, but I saw Alex's lawnmower and I thought, it might be a good project to try to restore that old mower. So I got it out, swept it off. I think my next step, I'm gonna fire that old pressure washer up and really give it a good clean and get all the mud off of it so I can see how much rust is involved here. And I don't know if I can find somebody with a little sand blaster. We can get this wood taken care of. Actually, the centerpiece, the long piece, doesn't seem to be in real bad shape, but I might, if I can find a nice piece of oak, replace that. Roller looks good. All the parts are on it. So if I'm careful, we're going to hose it off real good, pressure wash it and let it dry, and then soak it down with penetrating oil before I put any tools on it at all. So hopefully this will be a interesting for you and rewarding for me video. So let's see what happens. All right, I think that'll be okay for a little bit. We'll be back. All right, here we are. I thought that noise would die off. Okay, here we go. That did a pretty good job. And now we can tell it used to be green. So I got a lot of dirt out of there. All the mud's off of it now. And I should be able to get this thing apart. I am not going to do a thing to it until it dries. And then I'm going to hose this thing down with Aerocroil. For you non-mechanics, it's So air coils like WD-40 on steroids. I've used PB Blaster. That's good stuff. WD-40 is okay for just household use, but it's not really suitable for old rusty stuff. And I was in a supply house years ago wanting to know if they had any PB Blaster, and they didn't. And this old mechanic was there at the counter. He said, "You try this," and he handed me a can of air coil. He said, "You spray this on a rusty bolt, sit back and wait 5 minutes, and the bolt will back itself out." And it's not quite that good, but it's good stuff. So what we're going to do now is let this thing dry overnight. Oh, I see this thing's got oilers on it. You see the oiler right across the top of the blade there is oilers. And there's another one. So I guarantee my grandfather made good use of those things. It may not be in as bad a shape once I get it apart as I think. So we'll see. Well, like I said, we'll let it dry. We're going to hose it down with some penetrating oil and then try to break that sickle loose because it won't turn. I could say it's rusted to the bar. But anyway, okay, hey, let's have some fun with this. We'll see you tomorrow. Alrighty then, we're back. It's the next day. The pressure washer really did me a lot of good. We got all that old mud off of there where this poor thing laid after the flood. I'm lucky there are no broken or missing pieces here. So we've got something to start with is what I'm trying to say. But I mean, it's rusty, but the pressure washer really let me know that I'm in better shape than I thought I was. So the trick being is to get this thing apart. I'd like to try to find tires. These tires are cracked, and I mean, this thing's never going to get used, but I would like it to be nice. Online, somebody suggested to soak them in warm water and fabric softener. So we'll see what happens. I'm still searching for tires. My roller is really in great shape. I think I'm just gonna sand that down and put it back. I'm debating whether to stain it or just plain polyurethane. This handle will have to be replaced. This certainly has to be replaced. And I don't know anybody that owns a lathe, so that's something else to work on. So for now, we are gonna hose all the bolts down with penetrating oil. And this is gonna have to be done several times. We are not going to get in a hurry with any of this. It's kind of hard to focus the camera and look at what I'm doing at the same time. But that's what we're into. We're just gonna lubricate everything up and then walk away from it and be patient. That'll be the first thing that has to come off is this handle. But air coil, the old man said spray it on the nut, wait 5 minutes and the nut will back itself off. So I don't really think that's going to work out for me, but see here. I'm having a hard time focusing the camera and the lubricant. So anyway, you got the idea, and I'm going to be doing this several times before I put the first tool on it. And then I found out I have access to a sandblaster, so yeah, looking good. All right, we'll be back for phase 2 or 3 or whatever next phase. So long for now. Alrighty then, here we are. I've waited a little bit. I got a little bit impatient. I thought I'll go ahead and get that handle off of there because those bolts aren't so bad. I was surprised. That first one, I touched it with the wrench and the nut moved. The second one broke loose just as quick. It's literally finger tight now. So we've got those nuts off. It's hard to work with gloves. We went through that with the chair project. Really hard to work with gloves. All right, everything's a hammer. I need to open this vice grip up a little bit here. Too much of the good stuff. There we go. All right, bolts are out of the handle. That will give me room to work a little bit now. So I am not going to do any more right now. Number one, it finally did cool down to the high 80s, but I'm getting hot. So I'm going to spray this thing down everywhere one more time and go back in the house and cool off a little bit. And we might come out here and play around with some more disassembly here. Once I get this thing apart, then I can get it to the sandblasting station. So, all right, everybody, we'll be back. Okay, here we are. It's a little bit cooler out here. I tell you, when I quit earlier and went inside, my weather station said it was down to 86 degrees, but the feel-like temperature still said 96, so I don't know. Anyway, what I've done, I took the handle off of it. That wasn't any big deal. I have set up a couple of boxes here, left and right. I think it's a good idea to probably remember which side of this lawnmower this stuff came off of. So I'll admit I cheated and broke those 2 screws loose already, so we're going to start this video with these 2 screws. I have a little impact tool here, and I think all the slotted fasteners I am going to break loose with that impact tool because I do not want to chew those slots up. So that's what we're going to do right now. And I'm going to start by setting these handle brackets aside. They, I think they're identical. I don't think it'll make any difference, but they come off real easy. There we go. Now, and that'll give us room to work and we'll be able to see. I dug out this little impact tool from my motorcycle days. It came in real handy for loosening screws on the clutch covers and all that stuff. So let's just see how this works. What you do is you get it down in there and give it a little twist, and there's a spring inside it. Loud noises. And that one turned. Now, if I have to spray it again and wait a while, that's what we'll have to do. I don't know whether you can see that turning or not, but they did turn, both of them. And I didn't hurt the slots, which is the most important thing. So let's see. There we go. They're loose, but they're tight. So I am not going to force that. I'm going to spray it again. And let that go. And I'll keep working it. It's not, doesn't make sense to waste video time doing that. It's just repetitive back and forth, spray, loosen, tighten, spray, loosen, tighten. So I'll spare you that boring operation, and we'll be back. Okay, that wasn't so bad, very repetitive, and of course they were all, the threads underneath were all hogged up, so it just had to be back and forth. Okay, so I think my next step is going to try to get these wheels off, because the wheels are kind of in the way of everything else that needs to come apart. So we're going to try that with a wrench. I don't really want to use that impact tool unless I absolutely have to. So I guess we're just going to go with a big wrench and see what happens here. It's this center nut here that holds it on. Okay, let's try it. It broke right loose, folks. Very nice. And then I'm not quite sure what's going to happen once we get this. It looks like it'll come right out. Okay, look at that. Perfect. I'm going to put that back together. Should have my gloves on and put it in the box that says right or left. I'm working backwards now. Okay, let's see what happens with this wheel here. I don't know. I see a keyway here. Let me get my glove on. I hope I won't need a puller. Well, there wouldn't be a keyway, or the wheel wouldn't turn. Let's figure this out. I might need a spacer under that blade. comes right off. Now, let's not lose what's inside it. That shows some wear. It doesn't look bad. It's kind of dirty inside, but pretty simple. You've got, let me get this camera squared around here a little bit. Inside this wheel, we've got these gears. See them? And then they turn. That little gear right there, and that turns your reel. Pretty simple, really. Okay. Let's try the other side. All right, can you see that? I can see it. So let's give this a try. If this one comes off as easy as the first one did, we got made. All right, the whole bolt is turning. So just enough to put a little friction on that. Ouch. Oh, ouch. That's going to leave a mark. Let's see here. I know the wrench is right in your way, but... Okay. All right. We will pass something there. We got it. We got it. All right, that's loose enough to undo by hand now. Put it back together. In the bolt jar for the right hand side. I don't know why I'm not off the table here. Let me get another piece of wood under there. Here we are. Very nice. Very nice. And it doesn't look bad inside. It's dirty, but we'll clean that up. So, hang tight and we'll decide what we're going to do next. Alrighty then, we are back. This is the next day. 2 o'clock this afternoon, it was 96 degrees outside. Feels like a temperature of 102. Now that's not an official report, that's just off of my little backyard weather station. But we had a nice rain come through and dropped the temperature 20 degrees to 76. It still feels like 86 because it's about 90% humidity after the rain. It is comfortable enough. I think we'll go ahead and get this assembly finished today. That's all that's left. The wheels are off of it. So I think my next step is going to be this roller and this stationary cutter. And then all that will be left is that rod that ties the two wheelbases together, and that's just a nut on each end. I'm feeling pretty confident that this is going to go pretty smooth now. So let's try the impact driver on this screw here and just see if we can't get that loosened up. Here we are. You won't be able to see. That's not happening. All right, let's stand it up. Get some downward pressure on this thing. Can you see that? No. I can tell you can't see that. Hang tight. The tool's taller than my tripod. All right, let's get some downward pressure on this thing. It's turning. I think maybe I can lay it back down now. There goes gravity. All right. There's the screw in question. And as stiff as it is, it's going to require the impact tool to get it out of there. Let's do a little more lube here. All right. It's coming. It's just gonna this little impact tool is really handy. Okay. Now I can get a real screwdriver now. Oh yeah, all right. I think before that comes all the way out, we're going to try to break that big nut loose right there for that holds the roller on. Not bad. Not bad. And again, I think before I completely disassemble that, let's loosen the other side. And it should go pretty well the same way. Let's see if I can do this without having to stand it up. I think it's turning. It is turning. Give it a little lube. This stuff's expensive. It's about $20 a little can, but boy, it's good stuff, and it doesn't take much. Let's see if a real screwdriver will do it. Yeah. Alrighty then. There's that. And now, let's break this loose. Yeah, I've been beating wrenches with hammers for 60 years, folks. And here we are. What I want to do, get rid of that ball of grease, is turn this around and reorient it right and left. Uh-oh. Okay. My bolt was turning. I thought that was a carriage bolt. And we're just gonna put that back together. Okay. Oh, I see, it's a screw head. And that goes into the hardware box for the right side. And then we're going to come back around here. Oops. Oh, okay. And I'll turn it back around so you can see, but it's not a big deal now. It's dirty, but it's not rusted shut or fast. Watch me fumble trying to get that nut back on there. So this will go over into the right-hand side box. The roller goes in the center, so that doesn't matter. That roller, older than I am, been outside all these 70, 80 years, and it's still in pretty good shape. You can still see varnish. I don't see any rot. I'm not gonna worry about replacing that at all. So I'm gonna go put it away or I won't lose it. Okay, so the only thing left is this bar right here, and that's all that's holding these two pieces together now. We can take these screws out. Left. Can you see that? No. There we are. Left and right. You don't need to watch the second screw come out. You know what that looks like. I don't quite know what color I'm going to paint this back. I'm kind of thinking a John Deere theme with, of course, all this framing. We paint that John Deere green. I'm wondering about yellow for the reel, and then I believe I'll go with black for this lower cutting bar here. But that isn't written in stone. So now what we need to do is find a socket for that big nut there. Yeah, there we go. And once those two nuts come loose, it's apart, because the reel will slide right out. And I believe there are roller bearings in that reel. Besides, it's about 5/8, it looks like. 3/4. 3/4. And that's not even tight. I don't understand. That arrow curl must be some good stuff, because finger tight. After all those years, after being flooded out, laying in the mud, there we go. And I'm just going to put this hardware right back on here. There's nothing like knowing where things go. If you put them back where they belong, then you don't lose them. All right, we'll take a little break, get a drink of water, and then we'll get back into this. All right, I'm back, got a drink of water. Didn't really need to cool off. Caught my breath anyway, so, okay, I think the final step of this process is getting that cutter reel out of there. And this is what I found. And you can't see it, I'm just going to try to explain it. But in the end of this shaft is a slot that's been cut. And there's a little deal in there. I'll show it to you when we get it out, but this gear goes on there and turns, as the wheel turns, it catches these gears, turns the cutter. Now inside here, you see how that's shaped? And this little piece of metal here flops back and forth in here, and it'll let it turn one way, but then when you go to pull the mower backwards, it lets it spin free. And I think all I need to do, well, did it already fall out? No. Here it is. I think. There it is. It's just a little. Can you see that? Here. All right, there it is. Just a little piece of metal that rides back and forth inside that slot. This cannot get lost. So it's going to go. I have a little jar down there for small parts. And in theory, this ought to come right apart. Look at that. Beautiful. It's got ball bearings in there. Oh, they're coated. They're going to have to be soaked. So that's that side. So this can go in its box. And we'll go flip it around. And I have a little complication that I may have to go build a tool for. The other side, they had lost the cover. I can make another cover. I have sheet metal. But what I'm going to have to do is go improvise a smaller impact screwdriver, because the one on that tool is too big to get in the slot. So you hang tight. See that right there? So we'll have to work on that. I'll be right back. All right, it just took a smaller screwdriver. And now, pop that cover off. Put the screw back so it doesn't get lost. Now, my gear, and let's remember that this is not the left side, this is the right side now. I believe that gear will just it's wanting to. There we go. And the little pawl just fell on out, so we can finish our disassembly. There we are. And there we have it. It's completely in pieces now. So what's left, I'm gonna have to find a tub, pour some parts cleaner in it, and get a brush, and get all this grease, all these parts cleaned up real good. And then, whenever my son has time, we'll get it over to the sandblaster. This has been nice. This has been better than I thought it was going to go. So, alrighty then. We'll be back. Okay, here we are. And this is as many pieces as I can break this lawnmower down into. I've got it separated. This is on the right from this angle, but this is the left side of it. Wheel, all this stuff. There's the lower blade, there's the reel. That's just a brace there, and then there's the roller. Here are the other pieces on the other side, turned upside down so you can see it all. There's the handle brackets, there's the handle hardware. So this is ready. I'm gonna do a little chemical cleaning, and then it's gonna go to the sandblaster. And hey, as nice as it came apart, I don't really have any worries about putting it back together, but we're just gonna have it looking really nice. Good deal. Okay, so we got all those parts laying ready to be sandblasted whenever that can happen. So now we're going to turn our attention to these tires. These tires are brittle and stiff. You can see the cracks in the rubber. These things are in really bad shape. So I have searched till I'm blue in the face on the internet trying to find tires, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen for me. People have suggested just walk into places like Tractor Supply and Farm and Fleet and just see what they've got. But in the meantime, I got the bright idea to try some black RTV and just work it into these cracks. You can see how bad that is. And to spare you the pain of watching this operation, I've gone ahead and done one side, and it's soft like a tire. I didn't think it would cure that firm, but it has. So that's what we're going to do is take a putty knife and smear that stuff in there real good. And again, I'm going to save you the pain of having to watch this. Maybe we'll watch a couple of minutes of it, but it's pretty mundane procedure, really. So what I'm going to do is the sides first, and once they're cured, then I'll do this tread, and I'm not really worried about a pattern. I can't focus on it to make it so you can see how bad a shape that tire's in. No matter. Anyway, yeah, we're just going to get busy on it. And then finally, once the wheels are painted, I'll put a good coat on the inside of this tire and fill that groove, which will match a ridge on the wheel. And then I've got a kit coming where I can make worm gear type clamps that'll go all the way around that tire, clamp it to the wheel. So this is going to work. This mower's never going to get used. It's just going to look good. So there we go. All right, let's get a glove on. Get some RTV happening here. I've had these laying out in the sun so they're nice and hot. and as soft as they're gonna get. And I'm just gonna take my putty knife and just work it in real good. Try to stuff it down in those cracks. I figured if the tires and the RTV are nice and hot, I'll get a better bond. And so that's going to be the procedure. You ain't going to waste a lot of video time watching that. You get the idea. All right, here we are. What you're looking at is a wire wheel on a bench grinder. And I've been working on flat surface parts. That's the best way to put it. To get the rust off of them, get them ready to prime. A lot of the parts, like wheels and the reel, the cutter reel, things that I can't get to with a wire brush, are gonna go to my son's house and get sandblasted. But I figure I should do everything I can do, because he's busy, and you know, the quicker I can get that stuff over to him and we can slam it out and I can bring it back, the better off I am. So I have not been videoing this because this thing is loud, it's dangerous, and it's just not satisfactory for video. But I wanted to show you one of the pieces that I'm going to be working on here. And you can see this thing is, the light's not really good. But it's in bad shape. It's rusty, and it's going to have to be cleaned up before it can be painted. So, just to save time, this is what it's going to end up looking like. That wire wheel does a really good job. I think it spins at like 3,000 RPM or some nonsense like that. But it really cleans it up, and this will be ready to prime, and that's what we'll do. But I'm not going to video it because, like I said, it's god awful loud, and I can't narrate over it. It's kind of dangerous. I need to be paying attention to what I'm doing, so we'll be back. All right, here's Josh in the sandblaster cabinet. It's again pretty loud. You can't see a whole lot, but you can see that reel getting cleaned up. So I'm just going to give a minute of an exemplary video here and get out of this noise and let him finish it up.